When Panthalus was first revealed for Palworld, people immediately started saying the exact same thing. That's just Kyogre. And if you've seen the full body of both Palanthus and Kyogre, and still think they're basically the same design, I genuinely don't think you're looking past the color blue. Which is exactly why I think Pokemon fans are making a weak argument here. Notice what I said. Not an opinion, a bad argument. And those are not the same thing. You can look at Panthalus and say, that reminds me of Kyogre, and that's completely fair. It reminded me of Kyogre too. But saying one design reminds you of another is not the same as proving that they're identical. And this is where it gets interesting. Our brains are absurdly good at recognizing patterns. They're also very willing to stop working once they found one. That same shortcut also creates situations like this. Your brain sees the color blue, a whale-shaped creature. It happens to be a legendary with some markings on it, and before your eyes have finished reading the design, your brain just screams Kyogre. Your eyes are not necessarily lying to you. Your brain is just finishing the sentence before your eyes finish reading it. And mine did the same. The difference is, once I saw the full creature, I kept looking. Now let's begin by being fair. The faces do resemble one another. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that nobody could possibly see it. Panthalus has a large, wide mouth. Kyogre has a large, wide mouth. They both have markings. Both use blue, though different shades, and both have an intense eye. They're both enormous aquatic creatures that are positioned to be powerful, special monsters. If someone showed me a cropped, tight image of Palanthus' face and asked what Pokemon it reminded me of, I would probably say Kyogre. That part of the comparison is reasonable. The creature design is not just a face. You cannot crop out 80% of a character, compare the remaining 20%, and declare an identical design. That's like showing the headlights from two different cars and saying, see, same vehicle. No. Zoom out, let the rest of the object enter, because once the full body appears, the comparison begins to collapse almost immediately. Watch what happens when we remove the color. This is the easiest test. Take the blue away, remove the markings, strip out the surface level visual cues that made your brain think Kyogre in the first place. Now, compare the shapes. Kyogre's broad, compact, wide through the body. Its design spreads horizontally. Those enormous pectoral fins dominate the entire silhouette. Panthalus is much longer. Its torso stretches backwards like an enormous whale moving through the ocean. The body is more streamlined and elongated. The tail sits further away from the head because there is considerably more animal behind them. Again, the animal continues below the neck. In silhouette, these creatures are not doing the same thing. Kyogre looks like a fantasy marine predator with a wide, iconic profile. Panthalus looks much closer to a colossal baleen whale. The distinction matters because silhouette is one of the most important parts of recognizable character design. You should be able to remove color, texture, small details, and still identify the character from overall shape. Batman has ears and a cape. Mario, his hat, nose, and proportions. Pikachu has ears and a lightning bolt tail. Kyogre has the huge round pectoral fins, a broad body, and orca-like teeth. Panthalus does not. If these two designs were truly interchangeable, removing color would make them harder to distinguish. Instead, it makes it easier to see. The bodies are fundamentally different. Kyogre is often described visually as whale-like, but its proportions are closer to an orca inspired by a fantasy creature. The body shorter, thicker, the profile more powerful, predatory, pectoral fins broad, wide, rounded. The design feels built around lateral width. Palanthus is stretched, longer, heavier through the central body. Its shape reads more like massive blue whale or other large baleen whale, maybe a sperm whale. It has that enormous, almost impossible sense of length that the blue whale has. You can see the blue whale from the side and the animal just keeps going. There's a head, then more whale, then somehow additional more whale. Then eventually, after you've had enough time to reconsider several life decisions, the tail. This is what Palanthus is trying to invoke. Kyogre does not have the same elongated body plan. So even before we discuss fins, tails, dorsal features, other markings, the basic construct of these two creatures is already different. One designed outward, one backward. One emphasizes width, one length. This is not a minor detail. This is the foundation of their silhouettes. The pectoral fins give them away. This might be the clearest difference. Kyogre's pectoral fins are massive. They're broad, round, almost wing-like. They extend dramatically from the body, and probably the most recognizable part of Kyogre's entire design outside his markings. You could black out everything else, and those fins would still tell you exactly which Pokemon you're looking at. Palanthus has much narrower, more tapered pectoral fins that angle backwards. They feel more integrated into the flow of the body rather than spread out to define the creature's entire width. Someone even recolored Palanthus using Kyogre's colorings, thought it would prove the designs are identical. Honestly, that image helps the opposite argument. Once both creatures were sharing a similar palette, the fins are different, the bodies are different, the tails are different, the proportions are different. Painting a pickup truck Ferrari red does not make it a Ferrari. It just makes the truck red. Color can create immediate association. It can't write anatomy. I mean, don't get me wrong, the edit was brilliant. It made the whale from Palworld look like Kyogre, but all you did is Photoshop it to make it look like it. By that logic, you could make anything look like something else if you're going to go in Photoshop and change everything around. We have the top of the body now. Kyogre has a much more defined, conventional dorsal feature. It contributes to its orca-like predatory profile. Panthalus doesn't carry the same shape. Its upper body, smoother, more continuous. That reinforces the impression of an enormous baleen rail rather than a compact predator. And this is because when people make these comparisons, they tend to focus on the most emotionally recognizable features: the face, the color, broad category of the creature. But character design lives in cumulative detail: body length, fin placement, fin shape, tails, dorsal contours, posture, weight distribution. You need to identify every individual feature to be unique in art. You need the total design to create distinct visual identity, and Palanthus does that. The tails aren't even close. Kyogre's tail is stylized, compact, split into different distinct sections. It fits the wider, shorter body. Palanthus has an enormous whale fluke. It's broad in the way that you expect from a creature that's whole design is emphasizing the overwhelming scale of something like a blue whale. And again, these proportions work together. Palanthus is not merely a Kyogre with one altered body part. The longer body leads to a huge tail. The narrower fins support the streamlined profile. The smoother dorsal line reinforces the baleen whale influence. It's a connected design. Kyogre's features also work together, but they produce a very different connected design. This is why only looking at the face creates such a misleading comparison. The face may start the sentence, but the body finishes it. A blue aquatic creature having fins, a tail, and large mouth is not proof of any type of theft or infringement. Those are features associated with the animal referenced. Pokemon does not own whale anatomy. Game Freak did not invent the pectoral fin. Nintendo does not hold the copyright on the color blue. And Kyogre was not the first fictional sea creature to have white markings and an angry expression. The real question is not, do these creatures share features? Of course they do. The real question is, do they arrange those features in the same way? And here they do not. I know what you're thinking. But Palworld has other creatures that look suspiciously close to Pokemon. Some they changed when 1.0 was coming out. Yes, it does. You have your clear animal that looks like Lucario if he was Egyptian. I'm not going to destroy all credibility by pretending every comparison people have made is ridiculous. There are pals where I look at them and can immediately understand the criticism. There are designs where the resemblance feels much more specific than both are based on the same animal. And Pocket Pair's reputation absolutely affected how people react to the new creature. Once people believe a company has copied before, they're going to examine every future design with the same suspicion. This is understandable, but suspicion is not evidence. You cannot say some pals resemble Pokemon, therefore every pal resembles Pokemon. This is a guilt by association for imaginary animals. Each design still needs to be compared on its own merit. Palanthus does not become Kyogre merely because a completely different pal may have a stronger comparison somewhere else in the game. And reducing Palanthus to Kyogre 2.0 means we never actually discussed what is interesting about the design. It makes the sheer scale of the whale push into fantasy. It gives the creature a mythical presence instead of making it simply another large water monster. We can debate originality without becoming incapable of appreciating the actual idea. Kyogre, based on my favorite animal of all time, the orca. And I'm not upset that Kyogre and Palanthus share some features. So why are you? Good competition does not diminish the thing you love. It reminds the people making it that audiences still have a choice. And lately, Nintendo as a whole could use a little waking up. So is Palanthus just Kyogre? No. Does he immediately remind people of Kyogre? Yes. Now, of course, I want to know what you think, but I don't want this Palworld good or Pokemon better. That conversation has been beaten so thoroughly that the horses have all twice. Give me your strongest piece of evidence. Is it the face, the fins, the body proportions, the tail, the silhouette? Does Palanthus cross the line for you, or does it merely share obvious whale inspiration from Kyogre? Make the argument, convince me, because whether or not we agree, the discussion becomes much more interesting when we move beyond they're both blue. Next time, why do people treat every game with collectible creatures like it's trying to be Pokemon? Because creature collecting is a mechanic, not a genre. And trust me, that's where it's going to get interesting.